Hi everyone, Caleb Parker here, and we're back for views from etc. venues. Today we're here with Alastair Stewart, who's the director, or what we call CEO in the US, CEO of etc. venues. Alastair, welcome today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Caleb. Good to be with you.
We talked with Marg in our last episode a little bit about anticipating your New York launch. On a personal level, Alastair, how do you feel about this?
Well, it's a long-held dream to take the business to New York. I think I've been seriously thinking about it for a couple of years now, and probably started thinking about it about 5 years ago, and with visit to the States and looking around the market. And actually, the first thing I found is that, then there was virtually nobody doing what we offer in London in New York. So that's really where the original idea came from. The bespokeness, if you like, of our offering is that, first of all, we are very, very niche, as I think is the appropriate marketing term, in looking after corporates and governments and associations. So we're strictly a B2B business. And that means we don't do B2C, or in other words, socials, bar mitzvahs, weddings. And that's a very conscious decision to focus on one particular type of customers. I believe because we are that tightly focused, we are that much better at looking after, that group than other people are.
And that's what you built your reputation on here in London.
Yes, we have. I mean, we are well known now in London. We're probably the largest provider of our type here in London. In fact, on a global basis, we are the largest company of our type in the world. You can measure that in two respects. First of all, in terms of numbers of delegates that we host, it's around 900,000 for us here in the UK. That, by the way, is about 4 times the size of our nearest rival in New York. So that is a perspective on scale. And secondly, I think just within the industry that we operate in, this urban conference venue model, these hotels without bedrooms, as some people call them, we are the largest global provider. And that's looking at Australia, it's looking at New York, and it's looking across Europe as well.
So Alastair, you said this has been an ambition of yours for quite some time to go into the Big Apple. Why now?
Time is right now. I think we secured new investment from American investors last year, and they've given us tremendous confidence and tremendous financial firepower. And we have some very close relationships with US operating companies to help us with resources on the ground. So confidence is brimming, the UK business is doing well, and we're ready to take on the world's greatest city.
So as an entrepreneur, you must be really excited about this.
Yeah, look, I'm excited and I'm scared, and I think those are the two sort of emotions that drive a lot of people who want to do something new, where they know that there's a huge journey ahead of them. They know that there's going to be hurdles to overcome. They know that there's going to be people to persuade that this is the right thing to do. And all of those are the spirit of what drives me to get up in the morning and get this done.
So you say you're scared and excited. What do you see the biggest challenges going into the Big Apple?
It's a huge market. There are just huge numbers of people, and the size of the city is larger than London. And of course, we're taking a brand that people don't know about, and we have to communicate, effectively and in a way that really engages with people to get us known about, and then that will bring people to us, and then that will bring business to the venues, and then we'll have a success story on our hands.
Alastair, going into New York, where there's some of the best hotels in the world you're going to be competing against. Personally, I find it interesting that in the meetings and events world and with conferences, there's not really a rating system like there is on bedrooms and accommodations. What's your take on that?
Well, look, two separate questions there. I think one is there are some great hotels in New York, undisputed, and indeed as there are in here in London. And what we do, however, is very different to hotels, and I'm happy to take any hotel on, whether they're 3-star, 4-star, or 5-star, because our clients are looking very specifically at one particular aspect of what a hotel offers, and that is providing a meeting and conference and event space, along with some really important services such as good food and good technology and great service. And the reality is, here in London, we've built a really good business because an awful lot of the hotels just don't do that very well. And much as I love New York, and much as I've seen some beautiful hotels, I see the same traits in New York. There are some really bad hotel meeting products out there. Let me give you an example. I mean, I was in a hotel in New York a couple of weeks ago, and we'd hired a meeting room at, it has to be said, an extortionate cost. We asked for the Wi-Fi code, And the conference services guy came along and tried to charge us $950 for 8 of us for Wi-Fi. And by the way, that didn't include service charge and some kind of administration charge. And equally, we were trying to get hold of some coffee. There was no coffee immediately available. They had to send for the food and beverage director, who took too long, and as a result of which, one of the team just went across the road and got a cup of coffee from Starbucks. And that is just, for a 5-star hotel as we were in, was completely unacceptable, and fills me with huge positiveness that what ETC can offer will just knock those hotels out of the park.
Well, it's stories like that really make the organizer's job painful. When you put your clients in a venue like that and you get that kind of feedback, it's unfortunate.
Well, by the way, it goes on because, one of the other stories that I hear often about hotels is how difficult it is for meeting planners to set up. And a number of the hotels in New York are very old and have very established ways of doing things, to the point where you're not allowed to carry your own box in. I've heard stories that you're not even allowed to plug your own laptop in because the hotel's electrician has to come and do that for you. And some of these practices, are just really annoying for professional meeting planners. And that's what we're going to really take head on. We're going to make life simply easier for professional meeting planners. And by the way, it'll all come with a much more cost-effective cost, because we will be doing things more efficiently ourselves, and we will pass those efficiencies on to our clients with a more competitive cost.
So, Alastair, since there's not a rating system right now, if you're not rated, how do organizers know that you're good?
So you're right that conference centres in the UK, as indeed in the US, don't have a rating system. And what is the rating system? I think, by the way, the rating system has become increasingly outdated in the world of social media. Hotels have TripAdvisor, there's Google reviews, there's all sorts of review mechanisms. And if you want to see how good we think we are, then go on our Twitter feed at etc.venues and read what our customers are saying about us. By the way, I think the other very important thing on ratings is all the third-party professional meeting planners that will know you by brand, know you by reputation, and you build that reputation up slowly, and you put a lot of work into building that quality.
So, Alastair, if there was a rating system for conference venues and meetings and events, what do you think the criteria should be?
So I think the 3 most important things that we find delegates commenting on are food and tech and service. So on food, our commitment is to employ our own chefs. We put our own kitchens in, which are vented so that it's a full service kitchen, and therefore the quality of the food that we can offer and the appropriateness of that food for a conference delegate experience, which means they can get it fairly quickly. It's nutritious, there's not too much fat and sugar in it, and it's healthy for those that are particularly health conscious. That's particularly important. On the tech, it's mostly about Wi-Fi, that it's fast and it's secure, and more importantly, that it's free to use, given the experience that I've just told you about at the hotel I had. And Wi-Fi now is probably number 1 for the younger delegates. And then thirdly, and you wrap around that, is service. And to meeting planners in particular, that they know they've got a venue team that are on the ball, that are delivering the services as they've wanted, as per the RFP and how it sets it out, and that they're there and completely focused on their meeting and not trying to look after a host of other activities that you typically find in hotels.
So if there was this rating system we talk about where it has all this criteria, where would ETC venues rate on that scale?
We want to rate absolutely top of the bespoke, focused meeting and conference environments for what we do, recognizing that some of the hotels that you've been talking about, they will do their bar mitzvahs and they will do weddings. We're not going to do any of that, but we want to be absolutely seen as the best in class at meeting and conference venues.
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts, Alastair. I'm excited about your New York launch. And I believe you're going to be joining our next episode with Marg. We talk about a little bit about food and diving into why design is important for events. So stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you for joining in, and we'll talk soon.